This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Today, France announces plans to pull out of Niger. Canada's parliamentary speaker apologises for honouring a Ukrainian veteran who served in a Nazi unit. And the Hollywood writers' strike may finally be coming to an end. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Monday the 25th of September 2023. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that French troops will be pulled out of Niger over the coming months and a full withdrawal will be complete by the end of the year, following the military coup in the country last month. Macron added that military cooperation was over and that in addition to the troops being pulled out, France will also imminently withdraw its ambassador and diplomats from Niger. France currently has some 1,500 troops stationed across the country, which has been a key hub for France in its anti-insurgency efforts across the Sahel region. Niger became increasingly important for France after French troops were expelled from neighbouring Mali and Burkina Faso, following their own respective coups. In the weeks after the Niger coup, France defied the new military authorities by ignoring an ultimatum to withdraw its ambassador, saying that it would only act on the instruction of the country's deposed president, Mohamed Bazoum. As a result, the ambassador has effectively been under house arrest and, according to Macron, has been surviving off military rations with no food deliveries taking place. In the aftermath of the coup, France has even offered vocal support for the West African regional bloc, ECOWAS, which had threatened to use force against Niger if Bazoum was not reinstated. Though with every week passing, this appears to be a less and less likely outcome. Now, France says it will consult with Niger's military authorities over the coming weeks and months to ensure that the French withdrawal is done peacefully. In his announcement, President Macron said he is very worried about this region, adding that the post-coup authorities are allies of disorder who no longer wanted to fight against terrorism. On Sunday, following Macron's announcement, Niger's military leaders responded to the news with a statement on television which read, "This Sunday we celebrate a new step towards the sovereignty of Niger. This is a historic moment, which speaks to the determination and will of the Nigerian people." There's more on the way, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to make the daily briefing part of your daily routine, or just search for us on your podcast app to listen along. In other news, the Speaker of Canada's House of Commons has apologised after honouring a Ukrainian veteran who served in a Nazi unit during the Second World War. Last week, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Canada and delivered a speech in the Canadian Parliament, after which Anthony Rota pointed to 98-year-old Yaroslav Hunka, who was in the gallery, and described him as a Ukrainian hero who fought against the Russians in World War II. In response, those gathered in the House gave him a standing ovation. However, the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Centre, a Jewish human rights group, put out a statement saying, "At a time of rising anti-Semitism and Holocaust distortion, it is incredibly disturbing to see Canada's Parliament rise to applaud an individual who was a member of a unit in the SS, a Nazi military branch responsible for the murder of Jews and others." Speaker Rota has since offered his deepest apologies to the Jewish community, saying, "I've subsequently become aware of more information which causes me to regret my decision." Speaking about the incident, the office of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said the apology was the right thing to do, and that no advance notice was provided to the Prime Minister's office nor the Ukrainian delegation about the invitation or the recognition of Mr. Hunka. Meanwhile, overnight last night, the Russian military was accused of striking a number of Ukrainian ports in the south with missiles. This attack was focused specifically on grain stores. This was despite the Ukrainian Air Force claiming that they shot down 20 out of the 33 missiles that were targeting the city. This update confirms that Russia intends to stand by their withdrawal from the UN-brokered deal protecting grain shipments from the Black Sea. This attack follows other attacks recently, some also in Odessa and some in Mykolaiv. One of the biggest casualties this morning was the Hotel Odessa, which, while not currently being used or occupied, is an icon in the region. It was both set alight and heavily damaged in the attack. Following the event of last night, President Zelensky's chief of staff wrote on Telegram that demilitarization of Russia is a necessity, because the world should not tolerate a madman with missiles. After 5 months of strikes, the Writers Guild of America, or WGA, has come to a tentative deal with studio bosses. As a result of these strikes, most film and TV production has been halted. In fact, it's been estimated that the strikes have cost the US economy about $5 billion. One of the biggest sticking points in the negotiations so far has been around the payments that writers receive when the show that they're writing gets repeated on a broadcast network. Traditionally, they got an additional payment whenever this happened, but this has been somewhat undermined with the advent of streaming services. Instead, writers receive a payment that's meant to replace this. The disagreement came over exactly what this payment should be. Now, while huge progress and a potential deal has been struck, this needs to be agreed to by WGA members. There is cause to be optimistic, though. Variety reported last night that late-night talk shows could return as soon as Tuesday, and that broadcasts could resume as early as October. Speaking about the news, California Governor Gavin Newsom said California's entertainment industry would not be what it is today without our world-class writers. I'm grateful that the two sides have come together to reach an agreement that benefits all parties involved and can put a major piece of California's economy back to work. In the final uplifting story today, we discuss the return mission from an asteroid. Yesterday, NASA returned its first ever sample return mission from an asteroid, a trip that totaled over 1.2 billion miles. In total, the sample weighed around 250 grams and could help scientists discover more about how life on Earth came into existence. NASA has committed to sending a quarter of the sample to 200 people around the world, from 38 different institutions. Things are expected to change with a story like this, so make sure you stay on top of updates. That way you know what's going on, and let's be honest, it always feels great to stay on top of things. Even within TLDR, a few of us have been brushing up our InDesign skills in order to create the newspaper we're currently working on. It turns out that making a professional-looking newspaper is pretty difficult, so we headed to Skillshare to take their course on the topic. Unlike when I tried to learn InDesign for another never-released project a few years ago, this time I was guided through the process quickly and effectively, and this time the project will actually see the light of day thanks to Skillshare's incredibly easy-to-follow guides. It's not just that either. You likely already knew Skillshare for classes on things like photography, editing and illustration, but Skillshare also has hundreds of career-focused classes too. We all know at this stage that traditional jobs aren't one size fits all. I mean, I finished university and came straight into a job at a YouTube channel. That's not necessarily the path that you want to take, but the courses on Skillshare can help you design a career to fit you. There's courses on everything from how to start a business to maximizing your workflow or how to grow in e-commerce. Another course that Jack's actually taking to help with the newspaper project. And if you use our link, you can get access to all of that for free. That's right, the first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare.